l'étendard sanglant élevé, l'étendard sanglant élevé. Entendez-vous dans les campagnes mugir ces féroces soldats? Ils viennent jusque dans vos bras, égorger vos fils, vos compagnes. Aux armes, citoyens, formez vos bataillons, marchez, marchez, qu'un sang impur abreuve nos sillons. Aux armes, citoyens, formons nos bataillons, marchons, marchons, qu'un sang impur abreuve nos sillons.
Amour sacré de la patrie, conduit, soutient nos ravageurs. Liberté, liberté chérie, combat avec tes défenseurs.
Bon après-midi tout le monde. Cette chanson est très belle. Il est le meilleur. Hello everybody. That was a thing called the French National Anthem. I swear no allegiance to America. I pledge allegiance to France. Oh shit. Let me set up my camera real quick. And then we shall get this bitch started, because I didn't realize I forgot to set up my camera. Aux hommes citoyens, formez vos bataillons, marchez, marchez, que sang impur abreuve nos sillons. Aux hommes citoyens, formons nos bataillons. Marchons, marchons, qu'un sang impur abreuve nos sillons. Vive la France! Okay, I'm done. I'm done being cringe. Alright, let's hook this bitch up. Gesundheit! There you are. Now you can see my pretty setup. Alright, why does it look so bad? Okay. There we go. That's the better lighting right there. Why don't I just shut this one off? There. Alright, you are ready to see me, and me personally. My narcissism rules the matriarchy. Alright, let's do this, bitch. See my pretty face. Alright. Let's go. So first I want to show y'all something. I did a thing. So if you go to BS, I think it's KY dot, what is it? I don't know. We'll just look it up. There we go. .app. I guess. How do I get to my account from here? Oh, here we go. So, let's see. Queen Matriarch. Here I am. You can find me right here. And I'm going to go right ahead. Is that the one we already watched? I have no idea. View Yours channel. Alright, here we are. Did I add it to my YouTube thingy? No, I did not, and I'm about to do that for you. Yep, alright. So, let's do that. Right? Yes. Right here. I will go ahead and I guess not do anything there. Here we go. Blue sky. You can you can see my account right there. Go ahead and publish that. So now, there you are, right here. So now if you go to my account, you can click on my link, you can open up my account. Well, not my account, you can't see my account, you can see my profile though, but yeah. So feel free to, you know, do the thing. There we go. Alright. Now let's do some politicking. Where is that thing I was looking up? Or that I had open? Did I deadass, like, not? Unfortunately, bro. Like, bye. It's the... Wait, I don't have a censorship sign. Let me see if I can find... Well, let's see, what can I get rid of? Why is it playing that? I have no idea. Maybe.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Let's see.
What the fuck?
We will do things.
I'm a liar and a fraud.
I support the gay matriarchy.
I guess I'll get rid of Obama for now. Go ahead and add existing content. Censor. Beep. Ow. There we go, that works. So we're gonna go ahead and add that one. And then we're gonna make that 3, 4. Alt 4. No! You dum-dum. Alt 6. Alt 7. Alt 8. There we go. So, it's the Van show starring Van. There we go. Alright, that did not come up. Let me see if I can do it better. It's the Van show starring Van. There we go. Or maybe if I do the D sounds, maybe it'll sound even better. It's the Van show starring Van. There. I think I did it. Probably sounds horrible. Ah. It's so high pitch. Let's see. Ooh. Ah! No. I have no idea. They're all the same thing. Whatever. Alright, where's the cat one again? I want to see if I can remove that one from my sounds. It's already removed, so why is it here? Okay, good. So it's not going to do nothing. Alright, we'll get that out of our way. Aux hommes citoyens, formant vos bataillons, marchons, marchons, Quand un empire abreuve nos sillons. Alright, so. Opinion. The Trump majority may soon feel buyer's remorse. This was posted 23 hours ago. It's a 4-minute read. Sorry. Smoked a joint before starting the stream. Had to get the nasty taste out of my mouth. Alright. A majority has spoken. A disappointed minority may not admire the judgment rendered, but it must be respected, the right of a majority to express it. Else, to paraphrase the poet, what's the Democratic Republic for? Not a furry. Are you trying to kill my ears? Yes. Yes. Did it work? Are your ears popped? Was I successful? I don't think he can hear me. I think it worked. I think I did it. He's not responding. Joker. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. I'm such a bitch. Anyway, the election was clearly one in which voters' perceived interests outweighed their professed values. Surely not all of those supporting Donald Trump were applauding his character and the amoral values he represents, like, the ethnic cleansing and the fact that he basically wants to commit warfare in this country. Like, he wants to take the National Guard from red states, combine it with the military, and move it into blue states. I mean, I don't know how 100% accurate that is, but that's something I've heard going around. In fact, actually, I'm going to highlight this so that we know where I left off. I actually want to verify that now. Wants to invade blue states. So, let's see. Wants to invade with National Guard. So, Reuters. This was November 10th. 4 days ago. Okay, so let's see. God, I hate having a fucking cold. Donald Trump is expected to mobilize agencies across the U.S. government to help him deport record numbers of immigrants, building on efforts in his first term to tap all available resources and pressure so-called sanctuary jurisdictions to cooperate, according to 6 former Trump officials and allies. Trump defeated Democrat Kamala Harris in a stunning political comeback. Edison Research projected, telling supporters America had given him an unprecedented, quote-unquote, and powerful mandate. So, national... Okay. What? Wait. Trump to deploy National Guard against blue states. Wait, okay. Alright, this might be something, this might be what I'm looking for. Okay, so then we're gonna finish that read, and then, we're gonna go ahead and, read that article. Let me drink some of my sweet coffee. I'm gonna need to cut out that long ass pause in between that, because that was supposed to be done way faster. Hopefully I'm able to make it look somewhat decent. These are the scenarios the Pentagon is gaming out once President Trump takes office. So, oh no, no, we're not done here yet. I strongly believe I'm going to become ambidextrous, guys. I have not been able to use my right arm in forever. But I can at least... Oh, I can at least probably should exercise my arm. Okay. Given the complex factors that shape voting behavior, it is reasonable to conclude that the Trump majority was seeking an escape from the pain and disappointment and fears prompted by recent economic turmoil. Close analysis of the promised Trump program suggests that his voters may soon have second thoughts. Any new administration's plans are subject to change. But if the next president is supported by the Republican-controlled Congress in executing the proposals set forth in the campaign, he hoped for escape will lead to greater. The hope for escape will lead to greater distress on several fronts. So essentially, they're predicting that the Schadenfreude of all the minority Trump voters who got duped into thinking that Trump actually gives two shits and a fuck about them, even though they're not fucking white, they're not Christian, they're not well, maybe cisgender. Yeah, because a lot of LGBT people did vote for Trump, just not as much as Blair White wishes. Let's see, who else? Yeah, basically, and they're soon gonna be tasting a small dose of Schadenfreude, and I'm all for it. And that is the nicest way I'm gonna put that. So let's see. Close analysis of the promised. Okay, so to begin with, the multiple pledges of tax relief on overtime, on tips, on Social Security income, plus proffers of further tax cuts for wealthy investors carry predictable consequences for national debt. So basically, essentially it's going to have predictable consequences for the national debt. It's going to increase the deficit, and we're not going to be pulling in as much tax revenue to be able to pay for social welfare programs. But then again, I think that's the fucking point. So if you're on Social Security, if you're on food stamps, if you're on TANF, any sort of whatever, did you hear that? Was that realistic? So other than historically unachievable rates of increased productivity and economic growth, no one has identified a way to reconcile those pledges with stable fiscal progress. Massive slashes in the federal workforce, $2 trillion worth touted by Trump's bro-pal billionaire Elon Musk, would entail drastic curtailments in public services. Politics breeds countless temptations, not all of them prudent. The tax cuts for prosperity theme is compounded by the incoming president's pronounced affection for tariffs. To treat increased tariffs as direct sales tax on all American consumers may be an oversimplification, but levying those import fees across the board is bound to have numerous adverse results. So basically, we're we're all gonna die, everybody. It's all over. The world's going to end tomorrow at 6 p.m. So stick your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. All right, let's see. Fuck. I forgot where I was. All right. Americans' fondness for inexpensive goods is in tension with the evident anger that so many of those goods are produced in China and elsewhere, blocking those imports in the hopes that comparable goods will be produced cost-effectively in the U.S. is a risky proposition. The likelihood is that similar products made in America, even if superior in quality, will be more expensive, feeding the inflationary... Oh, I just got a follower. Oh, thanks for following, Luke Perry. So, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Let's see, alright, so the daunting proposal to deport millions of immigrants carries similar implications. The impact of such deportations on a labor force already struggling to bear the increased burdens of an aging population appears to be straightforward. So basically, the deportations with... the thing is undocumented immigrants cannot actually take out of the welfare system. You kind of need like a social security number for that, I believe. And yet, all they're doing is, paying into it. So now that thing you're worried about how we, young people just don't want to work. We're so lazy. Even though I literally am only not working right now because of a broken arm. You get rid of all the undocumented workers that are doing all the work that Americans don't want to fucking do, which is also very, very important work. Basically, you're begging to put us in a situation where the country is going to crash in terms of its economy. The tariffs. You think your eggs are going to cost $1.50 less? No. No, okay, your eggs may cost like $1.50 less, but your t-shirts and everything else that's imported from like China or like, I don't know, Brazil or anywhere else in the fucking world are gonna cost like, more. So I don't think it kind of equals out. I'm doing good. How are you? So the resulting paucity of workers for jobs often disdained by American citizens may well shrink supplies of farm products and other goods. Such supply shortages will add to the other inflationary strains against which the Federal Reserve has warned so diligently for years now. In conjunction with the tariffs contemplating in the campaign, worker shortages leading to supply shortfalls will increase demand for costly imports, perhaps generating feedback loops of unintended consequences. So the country falls further and further into economic hell. Voters don't learn their lesson from the last time, and they think that Republicans just didn't work hard enough to get rid of all the Democratic policies and the protections and everything. So they vote even harder, and now they have a supermajority, and in comes the American Reich. So, yeah, all right, in conjunction, all right, so those probable trends suggest that elements of the Trump majority will soon have cause for second thoughts if the Trump administration pursues and achieves all the policies outlined in the campaign. It is difficult to see how the benefits will outweigh the cost. Resulting pain is likely to be felt throughout American society. The fiscal overlord, praise the overlords from hell, Alistair. All right, the fiscal overlord and overload. Get out of hell. Get out of has-been hotel. Okay. Overload. Say it with me now. Overload. I'm going to make that a meme. And distortions will point towards stringent monetary policy, perhaps even higher interest rates than the ones that put housing and other capital expenditures beyond the reach of so many. Will that pain have political repercussions for the 2026 election cycle? In contrast with this year's election, Republicans will have more seats. We keep hearing shit about the fucking Senate. But what did I fucking say, bitches? What did I fucking say? Let's look this up. House results. Is it called yet? Not yet, but they only need one more to control the House officially. I'm right. They have one over here and a little virus somewhere over, like, in this general vicinity somewhere. And then they have this one here. So they still have 3 possible seats they can still pick up. They need to lose all 3 of them in order for the House to be equal. I don't think that's very likely. Oh, sorry, all 4 of them because of Alaska. Wait, did they call the virus already? I don't know how to get in any closer. How do you get closer? Fuck. I think the virus is over here anyway. Oh, wait, actually, it's 92. Now that I think about it, the virus that I'm referring to is almost 93% in, and is 0.2 points apart. 0.2 percentage points. So this is probably going to go to a recount. Yeah, so possibly. I don't know. But this is the virus that may end up going to the Republicans as well, so. But yeah, we're cooked. All 3 fucking branches, guys. All 3 fucking branches. All 3 fucking branches. Including the Supreme Court, by the way. Alright, I'm looking forward to the Schadenfreude. So, but some Democratic incumbents won by narrow margins and will face close higher-risk contests. Any calculus of the probable outcome in House races must await the electorate's reaction to the ways and degrees to which House members serve as allies to the president. Second thoughts are the norm in politics. Campaigns breed unrealistic promises and expectations. But it's like, what do you fucking expect? Politicians lie to you all the fucking time. You think Democrats believed the shit that Kamala said? No. We understood that Kamala was full of shit, but we believed her but we supported her because of reproductive freedom and because, the alternative. I know, lesser of two evil voting. It's like, that logic would have literally been used to justify voting for Hitler. Oh, fuck out of here. Yeah, so I want to get into this one right here, though, because this one's terrifying. I think this is what I was hearing about when I heard something about how Trump wants to invade blue states. So let me drink my coffee real quick. Alright, let's see what we got here. Pentagon officials are holding informal discussions about how the Department of Defense would respond if Trump issues orders to deploy active duty troops domestically and fire large swaths of apolitical staffers, defense officials told CNN. Yeah, that's the thing. They're apolitical. Check DMs. Uh-oh. What did I do, Joker? Who did you kill? And how much is it going to cost to hide the body? Don't show it. Understood. Let me get to Streamlabs real quick. Am I gonna have to... Is it something I'm gonna have to put you in coconut jail for? Alright, what am I trying to do? I need... I'm assuming this is layer 2? Yes. Wait. Okay, so... Let's see... How do I look? How do I? I think it's confirmed you're a furry, Joker. Yes. Totally. How do I check my messages? Are you meaning DMs as in on my phone? Or DMs as in on... Oh, on my phone. Okay. I'm thinking Twitch. I'm gonna have to cut this whole piece out of the segment. 'Cause I'm recording. So, yeah, so, let's see, where was I? Wait, what was I doing? Alright, I'm supposed to bring the thing on. Aux hommes citoyens, formez vos bataillons, marchons, conversing and pur, abreuve nos sillons. I don't know what that was. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get back to this. So, Trump has suggested he would be open to using active duty forces for domestic law enforcement and mass deportations, and has indicated he wants to stack the federal government with loyalists and clean out corrupt actors in the U.S. national security establishment. Trump in his last term had a fraught relationship. So basically what he's saying here is what's going on here is he wants to essentially, blah, 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 blah. He wants to, you know the police, how they've spent so much money on militarizing them? Well, it turns out they can go ahead and demilitarize them now. They can go ahead and defund the police. You know why? Because, well, you already got a militarized force in there called the military. That's what he's suggesting he wants to do. So Trump in his last term had a fraught relationship with much of his senior military leadership, including now retired General Mark Milley, who took steps to limit Trump's ability to use nuclear weapons while he was chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. The president-elect, meanwhile, has repeatedly called U.S. military generals woke, weak, and ineffective leaders. Officials are now gaming out various scenarios as they prepare for an overhaul of the Pentagon. We are all preparing and planning for the worst-case scenario, but the reality is that we don't know how this is going to play out yet, one defense official said. You see, I wish I could believe the people who voted for Trump when they say, oh, it's all, like, it's all overreacting, it's liberal hysteria, it's, first of all, I'm not a liberal, I'm a socialist, but anyway, I wish I could fucking believe you. I want you to be right. I want you to be right. I hope that this is all just hysteria. But every democracy has their downfall, you know. We haven't learned from ours yet. So, Trump's election has also raised questions inside the Pentagon about what would happen if the president issued an unlawful order, particularly if his political appointees inside the department don't push back. Troops are compelled by law to disobey unlawful orders, said another defense official. But the question is, what happens then? Do we see resignations from senior military leaders, or would they view that as abandoning their people? It is... Am I still on my Twitch feed somehow? No. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, Trump's election has also raised... Okay, so... Troops are compelled by law to disobey unlawful orders, said another defense official. But the question is, what happens then? Do we see resignations from senior military leaders, or would they view that as abandoning their people? See, this is the other thing. Like, one of the things that's going to have to happen is that the military is going to need to defect. Like, that's basically what that is. When you're basically saying that you're going to disobey unlawful orders, you're defecting from a regime. Is essentially what you're doing. You're defecting. You're disobeying orders. That's what defecting is. And that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to fucking take. And to be honest, I've read about stuff like this in the history books. You know, about and I see it all around the world. What happens when you elect a violent, a person that has no regard for human life? What happens? And I've seen where it goes. We get fascist Italy. We get the Deutsche Reich. We get, communist China, Soviet Russia, North Korea. You know, you get all these places, and it's just like I don't want to turn into a fascist regime. Like, this is honestly very terrifying. So it's unclear at this point who Trump will choose to lead the Pentagon, though officials believe Trump and his team will try to avoid the kind of hostile relationship, quote-unquote, he had with the military during his last administration, said a former defense official with experience during his first Trump administration. The relationship between the White House and the Department of Defense was really, really bad, and so I know it's top of mind for how they're going to select folks that they put in the Department of Defense this time around, the former official said. It's probably going to end up being somebody who's a loyalist. Alright. So, defense officials are also scrambling to identify civilian employees who might be impacted if Trump reinstates Schedule F, an executive order he first issued in 2020, that if enacted would have reclassified huge swaths of non-political career federal employees across the U.S. government to make them more easily fireable. So that's horrifying. What happens if they don't do his fucking bidding? Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said on Tuesday that I totally believe that our leaders will continue to do the right thing no matter what. I also believe that our Congress will continue to do the right thing to support our military. So... let's see. So, basically, top of mind for many defense officials is how Trump plans to wield American military power at home. Trump last month said the military should be used to handle what he called the enemy from within and, quote, radical left lunatics. So that's people like me. You know, your favorite local neighborhood commie. You know, so... Several former senior military officials who served under, I think it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, the National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen, he added, referring to potential protests on Election Day. Several former senior military officials who served, and it's like, come on, let's not be stupid here. even if he is going to deploy the U.S. military on Election Day, you really believe that it's just going to be Election Day? He's going to deploy the military anytime that there's a fucking protest. Unless the military defects. Several former senior military officials who served under Trump have sounded the alarm in recent years about his authoritarian impulses, including... What?
Talking to myself.
Oh. Yes, I'm streaming, boo-hoo.
What did I say?
Nothing. Including Miley and retired General John Kelly. Luna. Luna. John Kelly. Trump's former White House chief of staff, Kelly said before the election that Trump fits into the general definition of a fascist, and that he spoke of the loyalty of Hitler's Nazi generals. There is not much the Pentagon can do to preemptively shield the force from a potential abuse of power by a commander-in-chief. Defense Department lawyers can and do make recommendations to military leaders on the legality of orders, but there is no real legal safeguard that would prevent Trump from deploying American soldiers to police U.S. streets. So basically, this is essentially what's there's the abuse of the defense lawyers are willing to make recommendations, but see that. Right here. But there is no real legal safeguard that would prevent Trump from deploying American soldiers to police U.S. streets. And not to mention, what is that thing called? What is it called again? Oh yeah, that's right. Martial law. Yeah, turns out like martial law is a thing, I forgot. So... A former senior Defense Department official who served under Trump said he believes it is likely that additional active duty forces will be tasked with assisting Customs and Border Protection of the southern border. So as if this is already not horrible enough. Because remember, he does want to put up, some kind of camps. I know they don't want to call them camps, but that's literally what they fucking are. There are literally thousands of forces at the border, including those with active duty, National Guard, and the reserves. The Biden administration sent 1,500 active duty forces last year and later sent several hundred more. So basically, Biden did everything he can to appeal to the xenophobic right-wing bigots that wanna do shit to like undocumented, like that, and it didn't work. It didn't fucking work. It didn't work. Who's president now? Well, not now, but going to be president. But it is also possible, the former official said, that forces could be sent into American cities fast to help with the mass deportation plan Trump mentioned repeatedly on the trail. Can you imagine that? Just like tanks rolling through the streets with armed military personnel. Yes, I'm a dog shaking my leg as you do that. Anyway. I do. So basically, yeah, if that image in your head does kind of sound a little familiar, let's revisit. Let's get an example of what that could look like. Okay. I don't know about that. It can't be that bad. It's a military parade, It's not. It's... Wait a minute. Nah, it can't look like that. There's not enough room in the streets. Like, how bad could it be? You're fucking crazy, you libtards, thinking that it could, military occupying. Babe, I'm going to eat you. Like, oh no, it can't look something like this, where you have literal military forcing open doors and going inside to, deport grandma that just doesn't happen to have papers. Like, that's a little excessive, right? Like, come on. Like, you really want these going through the streets? Just like, okay, it can't be that bad, you know? Like, obviously, this is like a war zone somewhere, you know? So, obviously, they're gonna be, like, doing this. But, like, okay. I mean, I hope you're right. You know, it does, you know, sound a little, oh, whoa. Holy shucks. What's this? What is this? Oh, dear. That looks ugly. Oh. Oh, dear. Could this be what the, like, could this be basically like a peaceful protest? Just peaceful. Just peaceful. People just... Oh, shit! What's that? Oh, some of those people are dead. Oh, shit. This was from deploying military? What? Wait, what? Huh? Wait. It can't be that bad. It can't be anything near this bad. Yeah, see? Demonstrators overturn a bus in front of a burning truck on Shanghai Avenue in order to try to hold up soldiers who were fighting their way toward Tiananmen Square. I am going to shut that off because I'm curious, but I don't want to get TOS'd. I probably shouldn't have looked at this. Hang on a second. Oh, that's a lot of blood. That's a lot of blood. Alright. Yeah, I'm not, showing that picture. Holy shit. Let me just make sure that if I try to go past it, I don't pick it up again. So let me just shut off the... Is there a way to turn off the filter? Magnet disable for this side. No, okay. Maybe if I Oh, I didn't have to scroll all the way down. Alright, there we go. We're good. So, obviously they tried to fight back. But, yeah, so they tried to fight back. Not another one, come on. She's obviously dead. Like, these are horrifying. Place is ablaze. There you go. You want the United States to look like that? We saw what it can do just a few pictures ago. Oh, they're all... Oh, those are... Why would you show us this? Guys, I am so fucking glad that, those are bodies. Oh my god. It's just horrifying. Like, this is what the American people voted for. They hate communism so much they voted for communist Russia. I mean, communist China. That's how much they hate communism. I got news flash for you. China is very capitalist. It's called state capitalism. It's when the corporatocracy, or it's when the corporations consolidate their power through the state. Yeah. Turns out China's not that much different than what you guys are asking for. And when we combine the corporations into the power of the state, and we bring ourselves our own little, like, sorry, but y'all destroyed America, and I just, sorry, I'm not becoming another victim of Tiananmen Square. So, where was I? It's just, it is also possible, the former official said, that forces could be sent into American cities if asked that, blah, blah, blah. Domestic law enforcement agencies don't have the manpower, they don't have the helicopters, the trucks, the expeditionary capabilities that the military brings, he said. But he emphasized that the decision to send active duty forces into American streets cannot be taken lightly. You can never water that down. You can never say with a straight face that it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, the former senior official said. But it's the only way to address issues at scale. Separately, an Army official told CNN that they could imagine a Trump administration ordering several thousand more troops to support the border mission, but warned it could hurt the military's own regardless to deal with foreign threats. So this is the reason he's anti-war. He wants to pull the military out of the conflicts overseas so he can deploy the military internally. This is basically what he's looking to do. It is so fucking obvious. It is so goddamn obvious. The president's This is worse. The president's powers are especially broad if he chooses to invoke the Insurrection Act, which states that under certain limited circumstances involved in the defense of constitutional rights, a president can deploy troops domestically unilaterally, as in no need to go through Congress. A separate law, the Pos Comitatus Act, seeks to curb the use of the military to enforce laws unless authorized by Congress, but the law has exceptions for rebellion and terrorism, which ultimately gives the president broad leeway in deciding if and when to invoke the Insurrection Act. And obviously, what is terrorism to Trump? Anybody who disagrees with him. Anybody who burns the American flag. Terrorists! Anybody who says that his dick is small. Terrorists! Anybody that wants to free Palestine. Oh, get the fuck out of my face. Obviously, they're terrorists. So Trump reportedly considered invoking the act in 2020 to quell protesters after the death of George Floyd. Yeah, see, there you go. After George Floyd was brutally murdered, Trump did, in fact, I remember this. See, all you young fuckwits that voted for Trump, this is my generation. This is what I had to deal with. We had to deal with watching Trump literally deploy literally invoking the Insurrection Act to quell protesters after the death of George Floyd. And that ended in, that got pretty ugly. That got really fucking ugly. So, yeah. He obviously did not fully get to, I think I misspoke. I think I said he actually did. I actually misspoke. He considered invoking it. But still, my point still stands. Like, this is the kind of man. Now, he no longer has any checks and balances, so he could probably just do it. He could probably just do it, guys. If the city or state refuses to take actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them, he said. See, this is what I was talking about, where he said he wanted to invade blue states. If the city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them, he said at the time. What is this in reference to? It's in reference to fucking immigrants. It's in reference to fucking pro-Palestine protesters. It's a reference to fucking leftists. Civilian employees at risk. In a video posted last year, Trump said if elected, he would immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats. We will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. So basically, his criteria is anybody who doesn't like me. The Pentagon is already bracing for the policy change. My email has been inundated on this topic, one defense official said of Schedule F. Definitely going to be a busy couple months. After Trump issued Schedule F the first time, late into his last term, the Pentagon and other federal agencies were tasked with making lists of which employees would be moved into that category. At the time, defense officials tried to include as few civilian employees as possible to limit the impact to the workforce. Sources said the department is making similar lists now. So I wonder where this is going to go. What's going to happen? So, the Office of Personnel and Management issued a rule in April that aimed to strengthen the guardrails protecting federal employees, but there are still ways a new administration could work around these protections, defense officials said, even if it might take several months to do so. Austin has warned repeatedly about the risk... Huh? What, babe? Oh. Hello. To do so. Austin has warned repeatedly about the risk of political abuse of the military. In July, he said in a memo that it is necessary to secure the integrity and continuity of the civilian workforce by ensuring that Department of Defense career civilian employees, like their uniformed counterparts, are shielded from unlawful and inappropriate political encroachments. So basically, So they need to be shielded from unlawful orders on part of the government, and chances are in this new government, you know, the House, did it go to 219 yet? No, still 218. U.S. Senate and the presidency, and then of course SCOTUS, Supreme Court, they control that too, and could end up controlling more of the Supreme Court in the future, as if they don't already hold a majority. So, he added that career civil servants are tasked with maintaining strict political neutrality focused on loyalty to the Constitution and laws of the United States. And on Wednesday, he wrote in a message to the force that the U.S. military will obey only lawful orders. Good. So, who was this? This was Austin who? Austin you? I don't know. Austin. Les enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Okay, so Lloyd Austin. Okay. Okay. As it always has, the U.S. military will stand ready to carry out the policy choices of its next commander-in-chief and to obey all lawful orders from its civilian chain of command. He wrote, "You are the United States military, the finest fighting force on earth, and you will continue to defend our country, our Constitution, and the rights of all our citizens." And the State Department Secretary Antony Blinken said in an email to members of the workforce Friday that he will make clear to the incoming Trump administration that you are all patriots. So, yep. Yeah, that sounds about right. The message obtained by CNN acknowledged that transition can be periods of uncertainty that raise questions about what comes next for our work around the world, for the State Department itself, and for its people. It is a seemingly pointed message. The State Department saw some of its top career officials targeted as part of Trump's first impeachment. There was a significant departure of career diplomats during the first Trump administration. So basically, that's it right there. If blue states don't comply, Trump is going to deploy the U.S. military, it's not good, guys. I've heard bad things, very bad things about the coming Trump administration, and the fake news told you that it was nothing. Well, you're about to see the worst presidency the world has ever seen. Exactly 3 million vote difference. 75.8 for Trump, 72.8 for Harris. Exactly 3 million. it's sad, isn't it? Jill Stein, 750,000 votes, and blah, 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 blah. So, there you go. I love America. But anyway, well, so if you enjoyed this segment, please feel free to drop a like, drop a subscription. On my YouTube channel, you can check out my links in the description of this stream. And yeah, I hope you consider following me on Patreon. It will help me be less reliant on my job in the event that I break my arm again. Yeah, thank you for watching my show. I hope to see you in the next segment. What's up, babe? Oh, getting my phone?
Yeah, it's just about the time that I would expect him.
Oh. Alright, fellers. I've been streaming for about an hour. I'm pretty proud of that. I am about to go take a break. And, stuff. So, I'm gonna have more of my, coffee and stuff. And then I will be right back. So, yeah. And stuff. Okay. Oh, actually, no. I want to torture you guys.
Hey,
Mal.
how's the shit?
Say.
No,
Wait.
no, that's... Well, that, but that's not
Marseilles.
why I called. Got curious to know how the... Whatever the fuck you
There
had
you
going
go.
on.
Enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Contre nous de la tyrannie, l'étendard sanglant élevé, l'étendard sanglant élevé. Entendez-vous dans les campagnes mugir ces féroces soldats? Ils viennent jusque dans vos bras, égorger vos fils, vos compagnes.
Aux armes, citoyens. Okay.
Formez
Sorry.
vos bataillons, marchez, marchez, à preuve nos sillons, aux armes citoyens, formons nos bataillons, marchons, marchons, un sang impur, à preuve nos sillons.
Amour sacré de la patrie.
the gay matriarch.
of a break. I'm always taking too long of a break. So what's good, everybody? We are back. Let me bring the scene back. There we go. What are you getting over with?
Calling out.
Okay. I would do that. Any updates for the house yet? Come on, piss everybody off and get it over with. We know y'all wanna fucking, control the house, and you're gonna just, like, get it over with, please. Oh yeah, see, it's already been called for the Republicans. See? They made it.
Forget something?
Yes, I forgot my gun. Can you give me my gun, please?
Don't give her gun.
Give me my gun. Let me see my gun. Let me see my gun. Thank you for my gun. See, look, guys, it's a gun. I'm just kidding. It's actually just a blowtorch. Oh, look at that. That's how I light my weed, because the little Bic lighters are fucking pathetic. They do not stand a chance against the wind. So, all y'all pot smokers that don't like using blowtorches for whatever reason, y'all give yourselves unnecessary fucking problems. But then again, y'all, not all of you have the privilege of being able to walk out and about with a joint. I, however, live in New York State, a delicious, juicy blue state that basically legalized it, so, alrighty. Let's see what we're up against. Oh, Jesse Gender does another thing, so... But it's 43 minutes long. I can't do a 43 minutes long thing. Alright, I'll get through some of it.
Hello there, interwebs. I hope you're all doing well.
Hold on.
Though,
Un minute.
I certainly understand if many of you are not, because I am not particularly doing that great either. As I sit down to record this video, it has been about a week since the 2024 election, a little bit over, and I have been trying this past week to figure out where I'm going and what I want to say and what I want to do going forward, given the situation that we're now in, as we sort of look forward to a very clearly fascist government coming to the United States, one that in particular for me has been very
Fascist
targeted towards
indeed.
trans people, trans women specifically like myself, and what that means for me going forward in numerous different directions, both as a creator here on YouTube, but more especially what I want to talk to about in this video, what it means for the
that's fine.
culture and situation and crisis for trans people going forward. And what's been difficult about
Yeah, that's fine.
dealing with that and thinking about that this past week is that anytime I sit down
Okay.
to try to think about one aspect of this, to like really hone in on like, okay, let's think about this part of the situation of you know, the fallout from the election or what I have to look forward to in Trump's policy. And it just connects to 50 billion other fears and worries and concerns that it's just hard to pick a track. And I have been trying to sit down and write videos because that's how I sort of process emotions and also feel like I'm doing something constructive for my main channel, write some essays or things like that. And it's just been difficult because it's hard to just stay on one thought and think about one thought. It's hard for me in the best of times because my very neurodivergent brain makes me connect things to 50 billion other things at any given time. But in this situation specifically, there's just so much entangled up in all of this, not just for trans people, but so many others, but especially for trans people at the moment, that it's just difficult for me to articulate.
Like if you're not in a safe state like New York or California, now would be the time to get there. If you have a job, if you have any expenses you can cut on, right now, what's more important? Like, I don't want to sound like a bourgeois ass bitch, but what's more important right now? That Xbox or your life? Yeah. So that's literally you probably should hold off on that Xbox. Instead, take that $500, put it towards like a hotel stay for a week. Maybe your next few paychecks, you save a good chunk of it. From now until shithead's inauguration day. Like, this is a situation in which you really probably cannot really say anything to me about like, oh, you don't know what it's like, because yes, I do know what it's like. I literally starved myself to get where I am. Not telling you that you have to take that route, nor should you, nor do I want you to. But if I can pull myself up out of it, essentially by starving myself, and you know, literally and metaphorically, then you probably can, you know, like hold off on some luxury items like an Xbox or whatever, and you can save a decent sized nest egg. Like, you can't afford not to at least aim for a blue state. They're going to do the best they can to try to ensure that the dipshits in the federal government do not get too drunk with power. But I would aim for enough money to try to get out of the country, because the problem is that there's no guarantee blue states will be safe. So, yeah.
So I wanted to take this video here to try to just talk through a lot of things I have been feeling and experiencing as a trans person. You know, I can't speak for the entire trans community, my specific experience, and hopefully to connect with many others and explain to others of you who are not trans what at least a trans person might be feeling in this moment and what we're kind of wrestling with and trying to think about at this moment. So this video is going to be a little bit of a ramble. Hopefully you'll be kind of concise of taking notes, which is something I usually don't do for a video like this, but I want to at least kind of keep some level of train of thought. But we're just going to kind of go through everything, and I'm just going to talk it out, and I reserve the right to be able to talk about these in more detail or with more specificity going forward, either on this channel or over on my main channel. But for right now, I think just the best thing for me and maybe for all of you talking about these things. So please in the comments as we get and think there's a lot of things that I'm struggling with. And I'll end on where I kind of want to go at the end of this video. But let's start off with, you know, in a weird place, because it's certainly not the most pressing thing that I want to talk about, but it is one that I think creates an interesting starting point for us. It's one of the weirdest things for me coming out of the election, looking at, you know, the analyses of it. And we'll get to like all the Democrats' response of wanting to go further to the right and saying like, it was the far left's fault and it was, you know, standing up for trans people's fault. We'll get there in a second. But weirdly, the spot for me that was fascinating was the fact, if you look at a lot of the demographics for people who voted for Trump this election, you saw that there was actually a very big increase in younger Gen Z white men voting for Trump. And it kind of ran counter to, I think, a lot of people's thoughts, which is, you know, the younger generation is becoming more and more politically active and even more so becoming more and more progressive. So to see this sort of large group of white men voting for Trump is kind of, I think, caused a lot of existential crisis for a lot of people, because, you know, we want to think of this like, oh, hey, you know, this gerontocracy running the country, and that certainly is a problem, but that we had this thought that, like, the youth will save us. You know, we may have fucked things up, but the youth is coming up, and it will certainly get more and more progressive. And this election showed that that is not currently the direction that we're on. And, you know, when I saw that, it did surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. That does appear to be the case. That the youth does not actually value human rights as much as we initially thought they did. I think it's the parents failing them. I think it's the schools failing them. I think it's basically everybody failing them as a country, our politicians. And the most important thing, because of access to online resources and them not being willing to fact check it, they also ruined, you know, failed themselves. So that's the most important thing, is that they failed themselves. And they're going to soon see why. When they're being deported, when they're being arrested, when grocery prices go through the fucking roof, they're going to find out why. And they're going to want... And how do I change my vote? It's like that was a thing that was legitimately asked, apparently. Which, I don't know. I'm very curious. Search term statistics for Google. I'm curious. Is this... Oh. Okay. So, no, come on. So, what was it? How do I change my vote? So, what I want, états-unis, moins du Nord, moins de 14, 7 derniers jours, 30 derniers jours, 5 ans. Okay, so it looks like, okay. So this was back in 2020 during the election. 0 on, but it was massively higher. So, let me see if I can change the wording of it. Just change my vote as a kind of catch-all. So no, it does look like people are more certain this election than they were, than they were in the previous one. Les valeurs correspondent à ce point de données sont basées sur des données partielles. So yeah, 100 searches here, probably due to early voting, and only 26 here. So yeah, no. They tried to say, oh look, people are panicking, but it's like, no, unfortunately, America is not as unsure. And look at it. It looks like it's coming from the red states. How do I change my vote? Funny. What about let's see. 30 derniers jours. So, yeah. Didn't these states go blue already? Iowa was some of these states. No, they went red. Yep, okay, so buyer's remorse is setting in for these fuckers that sold us out. Idaho, Idaho, fuck out of here, ho, went red. They wanted to figure out how to change their vote. Florida, obviously, you know, they're clowns. They think voting Republican is in their best interest because trans people. Let's see. Michigan went red. New York went blue, so. But it's okay, New York. Y'all went to Kamala, you're good. Pennsylvania went to Trump, so obviously they're gonna ask that question. So, yeah. Looks like people are having buyer's remorse. I feel bad for them. Not really. They're gonna suffer with the rest of us. Alright.
Because it was just sort of like the thinking that I had, sort of generally, but, you know, thinking about it more and more in my particular world that I've been living in for, you know, just in my YouTube space. It's not shocking at all. You know, I've been seeing, all of you know I'm a nerd. I talk about Star Trek and all the nerdy fun stuff on this channel. And I have been seeing and talking about over my main channel this growing sense of aggrievement and anger and entitlement that has been growing in the nerd spheres, particularly in groups like, you know, Critical Drinker, the YouTube channel Nerdrotic, and all those types of kind of, you know, grifter, outrage merchants titles channels, and how they've been growing more and more in this sphere, partially based on YouTube's algorithm. But I think it also speaks to this messaging that has been getting through to a lot of young men of this sense of aggrievement and that there's this and that their masculinity is under attack, and that they have no recourse other than to sort of double down on masculinity and get angry at everybody who is seemingly taking away.
I think Hitler literally promised girlfriends. Sounds ridiculous. Did Hitler promise state sanctioned, or I think subsidized or whatever, promise girlfriends? I feel like I heard this somewhere. Gesundheit. I don't know, I could have sworn I saw something about, wait, state mandated? I don't know. I don't know. God damn, my throat hurts. Fucking fucking burns.
their space and what they were owed and what they wanted. I mean, like, just the political discourse is down to the fact that, you know, in so many nerd spaces of like, oh, look, there's women in Star Wars, there's black people in Star Wars, oh, look, there's, you know, trans surgery scars that you can put on your character in Dragon Age Veilguard. You know, there's the seeming like inclusion of these things that have no detriment to the men themselves in any particular way, just seeming as it's taking space from them in this culture that they are entitled to. And, you know, that's very much in the gamer sphere and in the nerd spaces. But as we saw with Trump in his first election, way back in the day, with Breitbart and Bannon, how they took advantage of things like Gamergate to really galvanize that movement. And we've seen, I think it's become, frankly, the mainstream discourse on men. And what's frustrating for me about that is, and why I want to talk about it first, is because as a trans woman, it's a particular, especially as a white trans woman, it's a particular culture that, while I am not a part of, it's certainly one I am adjacent to and experienced when I was younger, you know, as someone who was seen as a white dude growing up. And certainly I took a different direction with things, but it was just this, you just see the anger and disaffection that many young men are told to have, and how they're continually pushed to never see others as in solidarity with them or in a similar fight as them, and everything just becomes against them. And it's really frustrating because I, as a trans woman, have tried to do this work, and I think a lot of other trans women have tried to do this work for over years now. I mean, you know, setting aside issues that I have with her and her perspective and some things that I know other people do, but like look at like Natalie Wynn, ContraPoints, who did a lot of that work to reach out to young radicalizing men at the time way back in the day, and you see this connection that like a lot of trans women were doing this de-radicalization work because we kind of understood this trauma of culture of masculinity. And it's something that I even did on my main channel like 2 years ago when there was this discourse around like the left doesn't do anything for men, and I made that sort of the myth of male socialization video on my main channel, and then the second follow-up video, the trauma of masculinity. And it's this work to try and talk to this idea. It's like, no, we do offer a lot to men, you know, as a broad coalition, the leftist movement, in the sense that like we are asking you to be in solidarity to recognize that the problems that you are facing are very important.
Yeah,
but
like
also connected to so
economic
many others.
issues, like we want higher minimum wage, we want, you know, like better benefits, you know, healthcare. Yeah, like, don't worry, we actually give a fuck. The problem is you're being told we don't.
Like, we're all experiencing this pain, and you know,
And
our culture
why
has
is
to tell
that? Because we would have the gall to have a problem with being, you know, assaulted.
Is there a
So.
supervisor?
and like you should try to man up and join the matrix and be tougher and stronger and beat all down the other ones, and feel like you're in competition with everybody else, when in reality, like, no, we should be pushing this idea that we are all working together. But that's a story that doesn't get through, and it's what's really frustrating to me because you know, I'm seeing a lot of other creators struggle with it recently too. FD Signifier just recently did a video where he discussed, you know, edgelord movies, and how a lot of people sort of like point and laugh at people not understanding Joker 2 or Starship Troopers, and pointing and saying like, oh, these movies are about fascism, and making fun of it, or making fun of this edgelordy culture of like this toxic masculinity, and saying, hey, look, it's this is really shitty, and these people should not be venerated, and how you know, men will either get certain groups of men will get sort of react vitriolically at hearing that message, or they won't see it at all, and a lot of people, and they'll also react to people sort of laughing at this, sort of like, haha, you don't understand it, and feeling like, oh, they fuck them, and again, this sense of aggrievement, and it's not this reaching out that we can do to these men, but also it's very difficult because, you know, how do you do that? We've done it over and over and over again, and the message doesn't get through, and there's this sort of overriding culture of hating men that they seem to be focused on and thinking about, when in reality I think there's a lot that we can offer that just isn't getting through. And it kind of makes me think about, and this is going to lead me into the rest of this discussion that I kind of want to get to, that is, how do we message this? And I think that's an existential crisis that I don't have an answer to, because, you know, as at least just yet, and it's something I've been thinking about, and it's kind of the biggest thing that I've been thinking about recently, which is, you know, what's the story that we're telling? Because I think what makes the right so effective, and why I think to a large degree they won this election, is that they speak to these senses of aggrievement and issues that people are facing. Trump speaks to the day-to-day issues that people are facing, the economic pressures that people are facing. You know, the shitholes like Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or what you're, what have you.
Like, one of the things that they speak of is like they're gonna bring back jobs. They're gonna like do all this economic shit. And of course, what do they want to do this time around? They want to do tariffs. They want to, you know, like introduce all this other shit that's like mass deportations, because people apparently think that you need to like literal you know, like ethnic cleansing in order to fucking be against you know, like in order to be against undocumented or illegal immigration.
I can breathe now.
Good.
Because my call out did go through.
That's good.
So I can breathe now.
That's good. So, like, yeah, so, and this is what a lot of fascist leaders did in the past, too. They did, all this crap in regards to, talking in a populist way. Like, I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna make the economy better, I'm gonna make your living situations better, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then we find out that, you know, they are, you know, just acting like fucking clowns.
Still expecting my father.
Oh, well,
I figured if I keep it, I can react quicker than you can.
Yeah. So, now I want to get into something else. I just saw this, like, in the side of here, and I wanted to try to see it myself, but apparently it was on the Surf Times, but I don't know, I wanted something more reliable. Ooh, I like that. Let's see this.
Some breaking news to share with you. The satirical news outlet The Onion has...
Wait, I'm gonna start this over because I'm gonna make this an actual segment. So, The Onion buys InfoWars out of bankruptcy and move backed by Sandy Hook family. So this has got to be good. This has got to be good. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Some breaking news to share with you. The satirical news outlet The Onion has purchased Alex Jones's InfoWars at auction. Families of Sandy Hook shooting victims back the move to acquire this website, the inventory of the website, and even the production equipment. Those families won a $1.5 billion libel suit against Jones for spreading false information and conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook shooting. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano is following this case, and she joins me now to discuss. Lilia, so remind us and our viewers what led to this libel suit and now this massive ruling.
Well, Vlad, as you and all of us remember, back in 2012, 20 children and 6 educators were killed in this mass shooting.
Oh, I was in high school at the time. I think I just went to I think I was in 12th grade. I was either in late 11th or early 12th, but I remember early 12th because it was shortly before the ever so feared December 21st, 2012 fiasco where everybody thought the world was gonna die.
Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. Alex Jones has been and had been for years claiming that it was a hoax, that those children were not killed. As a consequence of that, the people who followed him, who listened to him, who heard of his conspiracies and lies, started harassing these families. So for years, the parents whose children were killed in the most horrible ways had to also endure the harassment, violent harassment.
I think one of them also committed suicide. So.
Of the people who followed him. So of course,
some decent Schadenfreude I hear.
$1.4 or $5 billion lawsuit. And last June, a court ruled that his assets would have needed to be liquidated in order to pay these families. So what's happening now is that Alex Jones, as part of this liquidation, the InfoWars website, which means the channel, the social media sites, and all of the technology, the set, everything that goes into putting him on air would go into this bidding. There were some people who supported Alex Jones who were bidding on that, some far-right bidders, and who ended up winning was The Onion. How this happened is because the families from the Connecticut families that were part of that lawsuit decided to forego part of the debt owed to them by Alex Jones in order to increase the value of the bid, which we don't know exactly how much it is at this point yet. That has not been made public, that The Onion was putting up in order to purchase all of those assets of InfoWars. What they're going to do now, Vlad, with that is, of course, we all know The Onion is a satirical site, which has raised a great deal of awareness through satire whenever there are mass shootings. And they're saying that the exclusive advertising on the site moving forward, once they own it, is going to be Every Town for Gun Safety, as you know, one of those organizations or foundations that are trying to raise awareness about gun violence.
So, Lilia, any word from Alex Jones himself about all this?
Oh, Alex Jones last I checked, he was still...
So basically, they want to take it, not to turn it into another parody organization, but to spread awareness about gun violence. That's noble. That's based. Ooh, I do want to look at this in a bit, which I'll do in another part.
Live on X, he has been saying that he's going to fight this, that this is all political, that people are trying to silence him. He at one point mentioned during that live stream that we're seeing that he trusts Elon Musk and even President-elect Trump are going to come. So he's going to continue.
You know why I like this move? Because the fear was that some right-wing clown was going to go ahead and buy up InfoWars and then hire Alex Jones, and then we would have been back in stage 2 or stage 1. But the fact that it's The Onion that bought InfoWars means Homeboy has no chance. His career is ruined. Bye, bitch.
What he does, he says, by other means, not via InfoWars, but as well as buying some of his products and support him, and in other.
All the slander he said about trans people, god damn. All the shit he said about trans people, I was kind of hoping... Excuse me, I'll be right back. Babe, do you have a cough drop?
Huh?
Do you have a cough drop?
Oh, yeah, give me a second.
Like, my throat is so goddamn itchy
No,
that my eyes are
no,
watering.
it's fine. Just give me a second to find.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I don't know why my throat is so itchy.
Like I said, it's fine. Just give me a second to find. Okay.
Yeah.
Here, give me two.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's so bad, my eyes are watering.
You ever notice when it's something serious like that, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, it's fine. I got it.
Well, I do appreciate it.
Yeah. Because I can understand coughing to the point you feel like you're gonna.
I appreciate it. I gotta get back to this, though. I love you, baby. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that now that it looks like it's being acquired by The Onion, Homeboy has no chance. His career is over. It is done. all the shit that he said about trans people and his network was like, I was hoping something like this would happen. And as I started seeing everything play out, I was becoming hopeful. I wanted to see it happen, but I felt like it was never going to. And now that I see it's playing out, feels great, man.
Platforms or outlets. What we can expect is that after such an expensive suit for him, that he would finally stop attacking these families.
All right, Lilia Luciano reporting early this morning for us with that breaking news. Lilia, of course, you will have much more tonight on the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, yeah. So that's fun. That is really good. I want to see more shit like that. But yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna want to look at that one. Let's see. CEO of The Onion's parent company reacts to buying Alex Jones's InfoWars. Let's see what that's about.
Can you say what the bid was? It was $1 trillion, which I know you're saying way too cheap. Incredibly, like, what a bargain. But we thought it was worth it. It's just a small part of our media empire.
$1 trillion?
I can't say. I can't say it. Yeah. Okay. I had known some of the lawyers for the San Diego family, so I gave them a ring. I was like, "What does this look like? How would we actually do this?" And they gave us some information about how to get this moving. So then we thought we can make a bid here, and the families decided. I get like what?
Wait, say that again.
Can you say what the bid was? It was $1 trillion, which I know you're saying.
He said trillion.
Can you say what the bid was? It was $1 trillion, which I know you're saying. Way too cheap. Incredibly, like, what a bargain. But we thought it was worth it. It's just a small part of our media empire. Seriously. I can't say. I can't say it. Okay. I had known some of the lawyers for the San Diego family, so I gave them a ring. I was like, "What does this look like? How would we actually do this?" And they gave us some information about how to get this moving. So then we thought we can make a bid here, and the families decided they would effectively join our bid, back our bid, to try to get us over the finish line. Because by the end of the day, it was us or Alex Jones. In the view of American life, these people are pure victims, and it's true.
Essentially, like I said, if some dipshit on the right, like Fox News, acquired InfoWars, they would just rehire Alex Jones, and it'll be back to square one. But now The Onion's doing it, and now he has no chance. So this is great.
Like they've gone through so much. It's horrible. They're also human beings, and they also like to laugh at things, and they also like fun and good things to happen in the world. And they put their weight behind this because they realized this was a very good prank. And thankfully, we won. We're still a little bit in shock, but here we are. We own The Onion owns InfoWars. Look, we're gonna go after all of the every facet of alternative media that is trying to get you addicted to stupid stuff. There's a whole world of podcasters and TikTok influencers who have some really curious ideas of the world. And I also think that we're learning right now that their followings are just as big, if not bigger, than traditional celebrities. And they've gone unmocked. they got a free pass at this point, and we don't think that that's fair.
Yep. So so I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. I want to see what The Onion does with InfoWars. This is just, it's so great. Like, this is such a new time in history. Now, if only they can acquire X. And I would love to see them acquire Tesla. I know they're not I know they're a media company, but that would be based in Red Pill, as if they acquired Tesla. So yeah, that's fun. But anyway, so if you enjoyed the segment, please feel free to drop a like, and follow me on Blue Sky. Feel free to join my Discord. We're gonna have a great time in there, building a nice community. And feel free to support me on Patreon. And with that, thank you for watching my show. Bye. God damn my fucking throat. Aux hommes citoyens, formez vos bataillons. So speaking of Blue Sky, looks like Blue Sky is taking over. X is crashing, and Elon is killing it, and it looks like Blue Sky is taking over. Turns out nobody wants to deal with Joseph Goebbels. So let's see. Blue Sky versus versus X popularity. So, let's see. Trying to find like a graph, like a chart or something. Because no matter how big a company's competitor is, you can also judge their popularity based off of their growth rate. And so that's pretty much a reliable way to judge the the viability of a platform when comparing a small one to a giant. So like in the case of Blue Sky versus versus X, if you try to go versus, based on the size, well, that's not a good comparison because X has been around a lot longer and Blue Sky is just getting started. So they're not going to have as big of a following. But if you look at the growth rates, that can actually be a more reliable indicator of whether or not a platform is more popular. So let's say Twitter, fuck it, I'm going to say Twitter. Let's say Twitter grows at 0.01% in 1 month, but Blue Sky grows at 2.74% in 1 month. That's then, in that case, Blue Sky wins despite being a much, much smaller platform. If they can maintain that popularity, then what could happen is eventually that could actually turn around in Blue Sky's favor, where they actually shoot up in popularity, where Twitter will actually start to lose people. So instead of a 0.02%, it's a negative 0.74%, as in they're losing, they're going down, they're shrinking, and Blue Sky is just blowing up. So that is something that could be happening and be a valid way, another bullseye, shots fired, confirmed way of determining whether or not a smaller platform is actually more popular than a giant like Twitter. So I actually want to look at those charts though. So this is Twitter versus Threads, and that's not what I'm interested in. I want to see Blue Sky versus Twitter. No, you can fuck off. Y'all keep trying to bait me into live streaming my fucking email. Get the fuck out of here. Alright, yeah, I can't find an actual chart. Nope. Social media popularity line chart. Let's see. Twitter is right here. What about Blue Sky? No, this goes back to 2018. People still use fucking MySpace? Jesus Christ. Is this one? Does not have Blue Sky. Wait. No. Come on now. Whatever. Twitter. Weibo. Vaguely remember that. Nothing about Blue Sky. Come on now. Well, anyway, I guess it's not going to be here. But, yeah, so Blue Sky is definitely doing better than Twitter right now, so, in terms of growth. So, yeah. I look forward to the destruction of Twitter. White Rose, the unknown story of the Nazi resistance group Philly from Germany.
Goebbels, Heinrich Himmler. I'm sure those names sound more than familiar to you. They were the leading forces of the Nazi regime, World War II, and the Holocaust. But have you ever heard of Sophie and Hans Scholl, Alexander Schmorell, or Christoph Probst? Well, it's about time. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. When people talk about Nazi Germany and the Third Reich, it often has this notion of the evil Nazis versus the people, implying that all Germans were suppressed and forced to go along with this tyrannical regime. And yes, many were, but what's often forgotten in this context is that Hitler and his party, the NSDAP, had a lot of support among the German population. Over the course of 5 years, they went from a small splinter party to the strongest one in the entire country, with almost 44% of the votes in the parliament election of 1933. Which is the same year that Hitler became Reich Chancellor. So the party was elected into power democratically, even though at the beginning they had to form a coalition with 2 other national conservative parties.
See, what did I fucking say? Hitler did not, seize power. He was elected. So I don't want to hear none of this bullshit about how Trump, what he wants to do, is not in any way equivalent to Hitler. He literally praised Hitler's generals.
But they quickly got rid of them. They also gained an exponential amount of party members. By the end, in 1945, they had about 8.5 million members, which was about 10% of the German population at the time. Now, 10% might not sound like a lot, but when you compare it to the membership numbers of the biggest German parties today, it's more than 20 times higher. And being a party member meant applying to join the party, being accepted, paying a membership fee, attending the meetings, possibly even taking over administrative positions within the party, and many other responsibilities. So there was certainly a threshold to become a party member. There was even a 4-year period where they had stopped accepting new members altogether. Yet, over 8 million Germans ended up joining. With that in mind, imagine living in Nazi Germany as a college student in your early 20s, surrounded by so many people who admire Hitler, voted for the NSDAP, and share their racial ideologies. But you decide to speak up, criticize the regime, along with your closest friends, and end up paying with your life. That's the story of the Weiße Rose, the White Rose, a non-violent resistance group in Munich that was led by 5 students and 1 professor at the Munich University, LMU, the same university I went to. Their names were Hans Scholl, Sophie Scholl, Alexander Schmorell, Christoph Probst, Willy Graf, and Kurt Huber. Since you clicked on this video, I'm sure a lot of you enjoyed German history in general and like to watch documentaries and historical dramas. And if you want to be able to learn how they're called, then this and step back and or now click so don't miss out on it and enjoy binge watching your. And Hitler has just become.
Alright.
It's 1933, and Hitler has just become Reich Chancellor of the Weimar Republic, Germany's first democratic state, which he and his party are quickly turning into a totalitarian police state, a dictatorship. In Ulm, a picturesque city in Baden-Württemberg, the 14-year-old Hans Scholl decides to join the Hitlerjugend organization, the Hitler Youth, even though his parents are strictly against it. But they've always encouraged Hans and their other 4 children to go out and form their own opinions. Hans's father, Robert Scholl, is an accountant and former politician, a pacifist, and a strong opponent of Adolf Hitler and the NSDAP. A few years later, he'll even go on to be imprisoned twice for calling Hitler a Gottesgeist, so scourge of God, for doubting Germany's chances of winning the war, and for listening to enemy radio broadcasts. Sophie, Hans's little sister, also believes in the ideals of camaraderie propagated by the Nazis, and at the age of 12, joins the female branch of the Hitler Youth, the Bund Deutscher Mädel, League of German Girls. Most of her classmates are members as well, and so are her older sisters, Inge and Elisabeth. Sophie particularly enjoys the outdoor activities they get to do in the organization. Hiking, camping, singing around a bonfire, but she doesn't really fit in with the National Socialist image of an ideal German woman. As a teenager, she wears her hair in a short boy's haircut, likes to dress in her brother's shirts, and she starts smoking at an early age, which the Nazis don't encourage, especially for women. At the age of 16, she starts dating Fritz Hartnagel, a career soldier, but unlike many other girls of her time, she has ambitions beyond being a mother and a housewife. She's a free spirit at heart, who, just like the rest of the family, enjoys art, music, and literature, especially philosophy and theology books.
Alright, I don't want to say that she would have been an egg, but she was probably an egg.
Her favorite authors include Rainer Maria Rilke, Georg Trakl, and the ancient bishop St. Augustine, but she also reads authors who've been banned by the Nazis, such as Thomas Mann or Heinrich Heine, as well as foreign authors from France or Russia. She also enjoys a lot of the art that's been labeled as degenerate by the Nazis. What many people don't know is that Sophie isn't just interested in art, she's also very talented at drawing and painting herself, and even gets to illustrate a German-speaking book of Peter Pan and Wendy in 1939. But we're jumping ahead. Sophie is a very enthusiastic and involved member of the League of German Girls. Just like her brother Hans, she even takes on leadership leadership positions in the organization. But as they grow older, both of the siblings start doubting the Nazi regime and the Hitler Youth more and more, particularly when Hans gets in trouble due to his affiliation with another youth organization that engages in singing Russian folk songs, among other things, and tends to have members who consider themselves communist.
Folk songs und French ooh-la-la. Can't compare with that German Papa saying, haben Sie gehört, das Deutsche Bahn.
A few of his comrades have incorporated some of these customs into their Hitler Youth group as well, which is why in December of 1937, he's arrested by the Gestapo, so the secret state police, and so are his siblings Sophie, Inge, and their youngest brother Werner. Sophie, who's 16 at the time, is released after just a few hours, but Inge and Werner are brought to Stuttgart, where they're being questioned for about a week. Hans, on the other hand, is detained for several weeks, during which time they also charge him for homosexual behavior. He ends up admitting that he had 2 homosexual relationships as a teenager, but fortunately, the allegations against him are eventually dropped, and he's able to leave the trial with a clean slate in both cases. From there, he returns to the barracks in Bad Cannstatt, where he completes his 2 years of conscription, before in the spring of 1939, he moves to Munich to study medicine. But only half a year into his studies, in September of 1939, Hitler invades Poland and thereby kicks off World War II. For Hans and the other medical students, this means that they have to join student companies, and during their semester breaks, they have to serve at military hospitals at or near the front. In the summer of 1940, Hans participates in the Battle of France and is assigned to what's called the Second Student Company in Munich, where he meets fellow medical student Alexander Schmorell in April of 1941. Alexander was born into a well-off family in Russia, but after his mother died from typhus, his German father moved to Munich with him at the age of 4, where he grew up bilingually. After he volunteered to join the Wehrmacht and took part in the Anschluss, the annexation of Austria, and the invasion of Czechoslovakia, he enrolled to study medicine at the University of Hamburg, but later transferred to the University of Munich. Hans and Alex not only share the same love for literature and art, but also their complicated past with the Nazi regime. While Alex didn't get arrested, he did get in trouble with his higher-ups while completing the Reichsarbeitsdienst, the Reich Labor Service, and he even refused to say the Hitler Oath when joining the Wehrmacht, but they took him anyway. At university, the two...
I will say the Hitler Oath right now. I solemnly swear to obey the Siegfried Oath und never, never, never dishonor the spirit und the memory of Adolf Elisabeth Hitler. Okay. Alright, I binge watched too much Mel Brooks in the past. I'm so sorry, guys. Some good shit. It was funny as fuck.
Now come in contact with even more people who are critical of the Nazis and get to engage in intellectual discussions. Their experiences working in a war zone and treating wounded soldiers in Munich further reinforce their aversion to what they consider a senseless war that causes unnecessary pain and suffering. Meanwhile, in Ulm, Sophie is finishing up secondary school, but she finds it increasingly difficult to come to class every day. Jewish classmates have started to disappear. Her progressive teachers are getting replaced by loyal Nazi supporters, and the school even asks students what their families talk about at home and encourages them to tell on their parents if they speak badly of Hitler. Sophie would never do that. Instead, she starts to question the Nazi-trained teachers and slowly realizes that critical thinking is not encouraged under the Nazis. Conformity seems to go over individualism and freedom in this dictatorship. Her boyfriend Fritz, on the other hand, who's fighting on the Eastern Front at this time, is still a loyal supporter of Adolf Hitler and believes in the cause of the war. Sophie and him don't get to see each other in person a lot, but they do write each other. This is a snippet from a letter that Sophie sends him shortly after the beginning of the war.
Ich kann es nicht begreifen, dass nun dauernd Menschen in Lebensgefahr gebracht werden von anderen Menschen. Ich kann es nie begreifen und finde es entsetzlich. Sag nicht, es ist fürs Vaterland.
Nevertheless, the two respect each other.
So, let's see. I can't grasp that how human beings will constantly put into mortal danger by other human beings. I can never grasp it, and I find it horrible. Don't say it's for the fatherland. See? I feel the same way.
And even get engaged.
Don't say it's for the fucking country. That you want to deport Granny, who's been here for 20 years, working a full-time job, paying taxes, and everything, and not being able to take anything out of it because she's an undocumented immigrant. Don't you dare tell me that she's a danger to the country and you need to get rid of her. Like, to my knowledge, you just wanted to get rid of the criminals. The ones that are eating the cats, eating the dogs, those ones, but no. Don't say it's for the good of the country.
After she graduates with her Abitur degree in the spring of 1940, Sophie starts an apprenticeship to become a kindergarten teacher and even completes additional training at the Fröbel Institute, hoping that the training would be recognized as a replacement for the Reich Labor Service, which is now also mandatory for women and a prerequisite for attending university. Unfortunately, they don't let it count, which is why in 1941, Sophie is forced to spend 6 months working at a farm, followed by another 6 months completing the newly required Kriegshilfsdienst, war relief service, at a daycare. After that's completed, she's finally able to pursue her passion and decides to follow her big brother Hans and study at the University of Munich, Munich, where she enrolls for biology and philosophy in May of 1942. Just a quick reminder, at this time, Germany is deep into World War II and suffering significant losses on the Eastern Front, even though the Nazi propaganda is successfully distracting people from that fact. Everything from food to fuel is being rationed, public buildings are covered in swastika banners, the Hitler salute is mandatory in numerous public settings, and even in private encounters, it's highly expected, and Jewish people are forced to wear yellow stars in public, have heavily restricted rights, and millions are being deported to ghettos and concentration camps, where many of them are brutally murdered. And of course, speaking up against the regime can get you fired, imprisoned, or even sentenced to death. Now, when Sophie arrives in Munich, she barely knows anyone in the city, so she's very excited to be introduced to Hans's friend group, which, in addition to Alexander
This could end up happening to us, guys.
Morel, soon also includes Willi Graf and Christoph Probst. Christoph is an old childhood friend of Alex's who grew up with a very liberal mindset, a Jewish stepmother, and an educated father who studies Indian philosophy, among other things, and is friends with several degenerate artists. At only 22 years old, Christoph is already married and has 2 small children. Willi Graf is the newest member of the group. He just moved to Munich a few weeks before Sophie to continue his medical studies and was assigned to the same student company as Hans and Alex. He's Catholic, which is why growing up, he actually refused to join the Hitler Youth despite threats that he wouldn't be allowed to complete his Abitur degree otherwise. Instead, he was a member of a Catholic anti-Nazi youth organization called Grauer Orden, Grey Order, which years later got him arrested for a few weeks. He too has worked as a medic at the front lines in Belgium, France, and Yugoslavia. The misery he encountered there is a major factor in why he's come to the conclusion that he needs to take action. And then there's Traute Lafrenz, who also studies medicine and has recently transferred from Hamburg to Munich. Alex already knew her from his time in Hamburg and introduced her into the friend group. For a few months, she has a romantic relationship with Hans, but even after they break up, they stay close friends. Together, the friends enjoy going to concerts in Munich and talking about philosophy and literature.
I don't even know why I look at this shit. I think I do it just because it's like, okay, well, we've seen this movie before. It's called the Deutsche Reich and the Rise of Adolf Hitler. And then now we have our own little Hitler story. And so I'm just basically just preparing myself mentally for the shit that's about to go down. And so that's why
Often
I keep watching this crap. So.
Authors and other intellectuals. They also discuss
Yay me, right?
their political views and regularly listen to the speeches by Thomas Mann on BBC Radio. Mann is a German writer who won the Nobel Prize in 1929, but since he strongly opposes the politics of the Nazis, he first left Germany for Switzerland and then moved to the United States. From there, he now records monthly radio broadcasts called Deutsche Hörer, so German listeners, in German that are flown out to London and then broadcast by the BBC in Germany. In these 8-minute-long addresses, he regularly condemns Hitler and the war and calls for passive resistance. For a few months now, the group has been organizing nightly reading sessions for a small circle of students where people give speeches and engage in...
As we all know, what stopped the Holocaust? Adolf Hitler. Hitler ended the Holocaust. He was the only one who could. Now, if only he ended the Holocaust a few years earlier. You know, the method doesn't have to be any different. He could have killed himself before 1930. I think I would have been fine with that.
Often controversial discussions. In June, one of these events is attended by Kurt Huber, a popular professor who teaches philosophy and musicology at the university. Hans and Alex have visited his lectures in the past and have come across him at private gatherings of Nazi opponents around Munich. Huber is Catholic, and due to his political views, which he only subtly reveals in his lectures, the university is keeping an eye on him. Though it's not at a point where they're trying to fire him, they have been denying him his own academic chair for years now. So in order to get a better standing, he's actually joined the NSDAP. Regardless, his beliefs have stayed the same, which is why at the reading session, when the group discusses how to deal with the inner conflict of your conscience versus the Nazi regime, he shouts,
Man muss etwas tun, und zwar heute noch.
So that's about right.
In that same month, June of 1942, Hans and Alex sit down and write a leaflet, kind of like a manifesto that's densely filled on both the front and the back page. The headline says Flugblätter der Weißen Rose, which translates to Leaflets of the White Rose, and the number 1. The name is most likely a reference to the book Die Weiße Rose by German author B. Travin, but it's also possible that the name is inspired by exiled nobles during the French Revolution who had a white rose as a symbol on their flags. Hans, however, later claims during an interrogation that the name was picked randomly, but that's not really a statement we can take at face value, since naturally it would make sense for him to lie and hide a lot of things during these interrogations. In general, there aren't a whole lot of documents on the founding and the work of the resistance group, because having any official records of these illegal activities would have been extremely risky and could have been used against them at any given time. With the money that Alex regularly gets from his father, they're able to buy a typewriter and a small hand.
Basically, the way I see myself doing this, like, if it gets to the point where I feel like my own life is at stake because of the Trump presidency, I will probably see myself continuing my show from the safety of Quebec or France. I have no idea, but the one thing I do know for sure is I am definitely keeping an eye out on this. I'm going to try to wait it out as long as I can, because I really don't want to have to destroy my nest egg. So I'm not just going to up and pack my bags just because my passport got here. That's never been what I was saying. But if things do get pretty bad, like I said, I've got my little checklist of things that I'm going to be looking for. And when those criteria are met, that's when I'm going to leave. But for now, I'm going to try to ride it out the next 4 years. But, yeah, so I do have my passport coming in December in case that becomes impossible. So...
to operate a duplicating machine. Unfortunately, modern-day printers haven't been invented yet, so every single copy takes a lot of time. In the house of Alex's parents, they make about 100 copies of the leaflets, pack them in envelopes, and mail them anonymously to a list of intellectuals who they assume their words will resonate with, but also to a few restaurant owners in hopes that they'll spread the word to their guests.
Is find isolated land and, you know, someplace in, like, the rural locations. Then I want to get myself a car so I'd be able to get to and from work. Just out of curiosity, land for sale in upstate New York. Because if I can buy myself land, oh, jeez, I knew it was going to be bad. But I do know you can find some cheap land, relatively. Minimum, we'll say 0 to max. How low can you go? Can I manually enter? Let's say 10,000. Just land, that's all I'm looking for. So, homes for you, price low to high. That's what I want to look at. Come on, you can't be doing this to me. What? What's wrong? What's wrong? Wait. Go?
I just texted my father saying, is mom back? Yeah, I'll be down in 20.
Oh. Wait, am I going somewhere?
Well, I figured we would just head right to grocery shopping afterwards.
Can it wait till I'm done streaming? Oh shit, there's land in Buffalo for $8,000?
Well, how about this? It shouldn't take us that long. Try to be ready by the time I get back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine, baby. Yo. Apparently there's no homeowners association. But how do you get 3 beds? There's no house here. It's literally just the land. I would have to build like a little shack.
Because honestly, baby.
What?
Just activate the phone. Give me about 45 minutes. I should have a fully functioning phone.
Okay. That's fine.
No, because I'm not letting some...
I know,
Yeah.
babe. I know.
So I'm not letting some fuckhead tech idiot touch my phone.
I know. I know. I love you.
Excuse.
Yeah, so it looks like that was the cheapest land. Oh, no, that's the same one that I ran it. So, looks like that's the only thing. Is that deadass it? It's literally the same thing on each fucking page. Zillow, get your shit together. But in order to get to Buffalo, I'd have to go all the way over here. That fucking sucks.
So you give me lip for cussing. Okay.
Let's see. Vous sang impure. Yes, I just called you impure blood. Oh, I didn't know Toronto is literally, like, right here. That's cool. But to go to Quebec, Montreal, I would board a Greyhound here, and then we would go up Route 87 into Montreal. And then if I wanted to go to France...
Do you want to?
Want to what?
Let me get our passports.
Sure. I mean, we could do a visit. A little...
Montreal.
Yeah, we could do a little,
You
little...
want to?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a little vacation. We always go to New York City. I want to see what Montreal is like, and I want to test my French speaking skills. See if I can hold a conversation avec les gens dans Montreal. Montreal. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. But anyway, yeah. So. But wait. Not Bienville. Saint-Remy. Saint-Michel. Saint-Jacques-le-Mineur. Island of Montreal. Châteauguay. Okay. Marieville. Belleuil. See, I'm learning all the names. See, I'm good, guys. I'm good at French. I can hold a conversation with the one and only Napoleon Bonaparte. Gonald. Okay. What? What, me? What? Oh.
They simply copy the mailing addresses from the telephone book. At the bottom of the leaflet, it says, we're asking you to copy this leaflet with as many carbon copies as possible and further distribute it. Here's the full text with an English translation for you. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read it. Among other things, it talks about the destruction of German cities by the Allied powers and how it's important to start passive resistance before all German cities are nothing but rubble, just like Cologne, which recently was heavily bombed, and before the remaining youth of the country has bled out for the Nazis' racial ideology. The leaflet starts with a sentence,
Nothing is so unworthy of a civilized nation as allowing itself to be governed without opposition by an irresponsible clique that has yielded to base instinct.
And it demands,
wherever you may be, forestall the spread of this atheistic war machine before it's too late.
We don't know for sure whether or not there is a final push that gets Hans and Alex started on their leaflets, but one of their inspirations is most likely the leaflets that the Scholl family had found in their mailbox in Ulm.
I don't think the Nazis were actually atheistic. They just had a very Nazified form of religion.
A few months earlier, with sermons by the Catholic Count of Gallen, who had publicly criticized the arrest of Jews, the arbitrary acts of the Gestapo, the Nazi attacks on the church, and the involuntary euthanasia program, aka mass murder, of people with disabilities. Someone must have put the sermons in print and distributed them. Another factor could be that just a couple months before, the Nazis executed a group of communists in the Scholl's home state of Baden-Württemberg. And Sophie's boyfriend Fritz has been writing to her about how horrified he is by these mass shootings of Jews that he's been witnessing. But regardless of what the catalyst might have been, within just a few weeks, Hans and Alex write another 3 pamphlets quoting extensively from the Bible, Aristotle, and Novalis, as well as the German writers Goethe and Schiller. Not only do they criticize the actions of the Nazi regime and talk about the inevitable loss of the war, they also emphasize that it's every German's political responsibility to follow their moral duty for resistance. The second leaflet specifically calls out the mass murder of Jewish people in Poland and calls it das fürchterlichste Verbrechen an der Würde des Menschen, so the most frightful crime against human dignity. The leaflet also states that the German population carries partial guilt for this because they contributed to creating this government.
Why tell you these things?
States that the German population carries partial guilt for this because they contributed to create.
And that is true. Like, don't give me this bullshit about, oh, you're gonna shame the voters? Yes. 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 Voters can actually vote. You think democracy is foolproof and is going to prevent fascism from taking hold? Like, have you been paying attention? In the beginning of this fucking video, they mentioned how Nazi Germany was literally elected. How the Nazis were literally elected to power. As in, that's the public, boo. That was the public. Yeah. Likewise, all the Muslims that voted for Trump, all the Latinos that voted for Trump, all the people of color in general who voted for Trump, all the LGBT people who voted for Trump, Schadenfreude will come and get you, and I'm here for it. Like, you literally, you voted against your own interest, and now you're going to suffer for it. And those of us who did not vote for that shit and actually rejected it, who are actually sane in the head, are gonna suffer because of what you did. I mean, let's literally see. Have they updated to 219 yet? Have they? Not quite yet. We're still waiting. But yeah, no, they're getting close. So yeah, the public did this. This wasn't oligarchs. This wasn't a rigged election. The public did this. The voters, the base. And just like it didn't work out for the public in Nazi Germany, it sure as fuck ain't gonna work out here.
Creating this government.
Why tell you these things since you are fully aware of them? Or if not of these, then of other equally grave crimes committed by this frightful subhumanity? Because here we touch on a problem which involves us deeply and forces us all to take thought. Why do German people behave so apathetically in the face of all these abominable crimes so unworthy of the human race?
The third leaflet calls for sabotage.
Kind of makes me wonder the same thing about how people could treat like the trans community so poorly. Like, how could you? Why? Like, why can't you just leave us the fuck alone? We're not a threat to you. You're making us a threat. You're constantly complaining about the fact that we're not conforming to your beliefs on gender. And about how if you have a dick, then you have to conform to being a man. Or if you have a vagina, then you have to conform to being a woman. That's you doing that. You're making being trans a problem. Trans people are not doing that. We're just out here telling you, guys, mind your fucking business. We just exist. We're just here. We're normal just like you, paying our fucking bills. But you're so goddamn obsessed with everybody's genitals. You need to make sure, even if that means pantsing people and looking at their genitals your fucking self, that everybody's got the right genitals and they're presenting the way their genitals prescribe. Like, you're so fucking
in order
creepy.
to initiate a
So I just cannot understand how the American public could be in favor of such an abominable ideology.
Political revolution. It gives people a list of things they can do in their everyday lives to help overthrow the government, like not giving any of the donations that the Nazi regime is asking for, sabotaging your work in the armament industry, during events, celebrations, or in organizations of the Nazi party, as well as sabotaging your work in the media or any other profession that directly or indirectly helps the government. And the fourth leaflet particularly calls out Hitler's lies and propaganda. One part goes like this.
Every word that comes from Hitler's mouth is a lie. When he says peace, he means war. And when he blasphemously uses the name of the Almighty, he means the power of evil, the fallen angel, Satan.
In this leaflet, they also remind people that despite a few recent victories on the battlefields, Germany is still losing thousands of men every day. So the leaflet warns against premature optimism. It ends with,
Wir schweigen nicht. Wir sind euer böses Gewissen. Die weiße Rose lässt euch keine Ruhe. We will not be silent. We are your bad conscience. The white rose will not leave you in peace.
Of course, criticizing Hitler and the government is illegal in Nazi Germany. It's usually considered treason or sedition. And even just being in possession of a document like this is highly dangerous, which is why over 100 people end up reporting the leaflets to the Gestapo. So yeah.
You could be charged with treason or sedition, and of course, if you protest in a way that Trump doesn't like, he threatens the Insurrection Act. So, how fun does that sound, right, guys? So, now here's the difference. He's not gonna, sentence us to death or anything. But what's he thinking? Sending the military after us? Okay, maybe I might not be correct about him sentencing us to death. Maybe there might be something to that.
They start investigating. Now, whether or not Sophie and the rest of the group are actively participating at this point isn't 100% clear. For a while, it was generally believed that Sophie first came across the leaflets out in public, like everyone else, which then led her to believe that her brother could be behind this. Her sister Elisabeth, however, later stated that when Fritz was on leave and visited Sophie in Munich in May of 1942, she asked him for 1,000 Reichsmark and if he could get her a duplicating machine through the military, which implies that she may have been involved in the resistance group from the beginning. She wouldn't tell him what she needed it for, but he had a hunch and made sure that she knew what consequences any type of resistance could have.
Bist du dir darüber im Klaren, dass es dir den Kopf kosten kann? Ja, ich bin mir darüber im Klaren.
Her brother Hans says something similar during an interrogation later on.
Was ich damit auf mich nahm, wusste ich. Ich habe auch damit gerechnet, dadurch mein Leben zu verlieren.
Hans Scholl, although he was, I think that was Nazi gear. Was that a
Something
Nazi
similar
uniform?
during an interrogation later on.
Was ich damit auf mich nahm, wusste ich.
Resistance could have.
Bist du dir darüber?
Yeah, that is a Nazi uniform. I can see the swastika right there. So he was a defector, I think.
Darüber im Klaren, dass es dir den Kopf kosten kann. Ja, ich bin mir darüber im Klaren.
Her brother Hans says something similar during an interrogation later on.
Was ich damit auf mich nahm, wusste ich. Ich habe auch damit gerechnet, dadurch mein Leben zu verlieren.
Wasn't he? Hans Scholl? One of the White Rose resistance movement. So although he wore the uniform, he was not one of them. He's basically what Hitler fearmongered leading up to the Night of Long Knives. Him and people like him. Although I wouldn't consider the socialist faction of the Nazi Party to actually be equivalent, because the socialist movement, while they were in fact legitimately socialist, they were also still very anti-Semitic and xenophobic. So they're not. I don't redeem them. Like, sorry, like, you can go ahead and die with the rest of them, but in terms of like the White Rose Resistance movement, Godspeed, comrades. You fought the good fight and you won.
Certain is that once Sophie is a member of the resistance group, she helps with printing, but also functions as the bookkeeper and acquires materials like paper, envelopes, and stamps. Since all of those things are heavily rationed in Nazi Germany, she often buys several small quantities at different post offices, which also helps avoid any suspicion. As a woman, she's also helpful to the group because she's less likely to be randomly stopped by the SS.
Oh, so that sounds nice.
Right after the first 4 leaflets are published, the group finds out that Hans and Alex, as well as Willy Graf, are being sent to Stalingrad for 3 months to serve as medics. This famous photo was actually taken outside the East train station in Munich right before the guys have to leave for Russia. This one looks a little happier. From the end of July to early November 1942, they once again experience the atrocities of the war firsthand. This is also the time when Hans and Alex truly start to bond with Willy. All 3 of them refuse to view the Russians as enemies, and thanks to Alex being fluent in Russian, they instead approach them openly and forge personal ties, thereby breaching military rules. Willy later writes to his sister,
"The war here in the East leads to things."
See, the nuance this adds to the conversation is not every person wearing the Nazi uniform was actually a Nazi and actually agreed with the German Reich, like, you know, and that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty nice to know it wasn't a hive mind. It was legislatively mandated to be a hive mind, but in practice, it was not. And it kind of is similar to what we see with the IDF. Not every Israeli that is out there slaughtering Palestinians actually agrees with the war, but you know, like, maybe they, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they should, I don't know. The solution to this is just free speech. It's free speech, guys. You don't have to allow hate speech in order to be pro-free speech, okay? You can have anti-hate speech regulations so that you can protect marginalized communities, but you can also have free speech in the sense that you can criticize your government without fear of retribution like this.
So terrible.
And there's no guarantee that we're going to have that protection in the United States anymore, because the Trump wants to turn the military on us, which is really fun. I can't wait to see how that's going to go about. There's no possible way in which this could go wrong.
Never have thought them possible. Some things have occurred that have disturbed me deeply. I wish I hadn't had to see what I have seen. I could tell you much more, but do not want to trust it to a letter.
The only positive aspect of this time is that Hans is stationed in close proximity to his little brother Werner, who was drafted to fight for the Wehrmacht right out of high school. The two actually get to see each other in person several times. In the meantime, Sophie has to work in an armament factory in Ulm over the summer, which she absolutely despises. This is also the time that their father, Robert Scholl, gets arrested by the Nazis for a condescending comment about Hitler and is sentenced to 4 months in prison. One of his own employees told on him.
Jesus Christ.
Given all of these new experiences over the summer, it's not surprising that once the whole group is finally back in Munich in November, they're determined to make their resistance movement even bigger and reach a wider range of people. Willy Graf and Christoph Probst are now actively part of the resistance group as well, and starting in late December, this also goes for Professor Kurt Huber. In January of 1943, Hans writes leaflet number 5, with revisions by Professor Huber. You'll notice that in order to appeal to the general public this time, they choose to keep the language a little bit more simple and refrain from using classic literature quotes. A couple months prior, Hans and Sophie received a generous donation from Eugen Grimminger, an accountant who's friends with their father and married to a Jewish woman. This money allows them to buy a new and more effective duplicating machine so that they can now produce at least 6,000 copies of their new leaflet. Night after night, the group toils away in the studio of Munich architect Manfred Eigelmeier that they get to use. In order to stay awake and be able to function throughout the day, they even take amphetamines, referred to as pep pills at the time, which they get from the military clinic they work at. This time, they don't only distribute the pamphlets via mail, but also hide them in public buildings, in phone booths, or on top of parked cars. They also manage to bring leaflets to countless other cities across Germany and Austria, and they ask friends to distribute them at their universities. The goal is to make it look like they're a large nationwide resistance organization. That's also why the 5th leaflet is now titled Flugblätter der Widerstandsbewegung in Deutschland, so leaflets of the resistance movement in Germany, rather than of the White Rose, and then a call to all Germans. Sophie recruits people who distribute the leaflets in Ulm and Stuttgart. Nice. She herself brings them to Augsburg, which is about a 1-hour train ride from Munich, and Traute brings them home to Hamburg, where she connects with other resistance groups. Hans and Willy, too, get in touch with groups in Berlin, the Rhineland, and the Saarland. A member of the resistance group Rote Kapelle, or Red Orchestra, even provides some financial help. Eventually, about 100 people are involved with the projects of the White Rose. One of the core statements of the 5th leaflet is,
Hitler cannot win the war, he can only prolong it.
They call on the German people to stop blindly following their leaders, unless they'd like to suffer the same fate as the Jews. They also call for a new Europe with freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and protection from the arbitrary acts of violent criminal states. In addition to the leaflets, the group now also experiments with other ways of expressing their opposition. In cloak and dagger operations, they paint wall slogans like mass murderer Hitler and crossed out swastikas on about 30 facades in central Munich. On the entrance of the university, they write freedom and down with Hitler, and after the authorities remove the slogans, they even go back and redo them. In January of 1943, the university celebrates its 470th year anniversary, for which the Bavarian Gauleiter...
See, I love that. See, Europe learned their lesson. Took a while, but they learned their lesson. I hope we learn our lesson. I really do.
Deshalb geht mein Appell an die weibliche studentische Jugend. Ihr Arbeitseifer in allen Ehren, meine Damen. Aber die Deutsche Universität ist keine Rettungsanstalt für höhere Töchter, die sich den Pflichten des Vaterlandes entziehen wollen.
Jesus.
Es wäre wohl besser, die Studentinnen würden sich auf ihre Aufgaben als Frau besinnen und unserem Führer in jedem Universitätsjahr ein Zeugnis in Gestalt eines strammen Sohnes vorweisen. Ich kann ja verstehen, wenn einige Mädels glauben, sie müssen studieren, weil sie nicht hübsch genug sind, um einen Verehrer zu finden. Aber ich kann Sie beruhigen, meine Damen. Ich kann Ihnen gern meine Adjutanten zuweisen und ich kann Ihnen ein erfreuliches Erlebnis versprechen.
Oddly enough, this kind of reminded me of this graduation speech from earlier this year. Now, as you can see in the clip, a lot of the students, both male and female, are outraged by these statements. They storm out and start protesting in the streets, and because of how many people are participating, the Nazi authorities are unable to arrest them all. It almost seems like the spark of resistance is beginning to spread. So Kurt Huber, who gets to write the 6th leaflet, references these events and directly addresses the students in this leaflet that starts with Kommilitonen, Kommilitonen, so fellow students, and later on...
For us, there is but one slogan: fight against the party. Get out of the party organizations which are used to keep our mouths sealed and hold us in political bondage. Get out of the lecture rooms of the SS corporals and sergeants and the party bootlickers. We want genuine learning and real freedom of opinion.
This leaflet is sent out in mid-February of 1943, shortly after the German army officially loses the Battle of Stalingrad, which marks a significant turning point of the war. This time, the group makes over 2,000 copies, but since envelopes are hard to get these days, they don't have enough to send them all in mail. So Hans suggests to bring them right to the source and distribute them at the University of Munich the next morning. Sophie agrees to help him.
I think
so the next
this
day,
is
on
where
Thursday,
they
February
get
18th,
their-
1943,
they get caught.
Hans and Sophie Scholl show up at the university at about 11 a.m. with a suitcase full of leaflets. Since it's lecture time, the hallways are completely empty. So they start placing stacks of leaflets on the ground in front of classrooms for students to find when they come out. The siblings are already on their way out through the back door when they realize that they still have some copies left after all. They decide to turn around and go up to the 3rd floor to place a stack there. Then Sophie pushes the remaining leaflets off the banister into the atrium. What they don't realize is that they're not alone anymore. Jakob Schmidt, a janitor and loyal member of the Nazi party, sees them and calls the Gestapo on them. Sophie and Hans are arrested and brought to the Gestapo headquarters just a few blocks down the road, where they're separated and interrogated for the next 2 days. Unfortunately, Hans has a piece of paper on him with a draft for the 7th leaflet, handwritten by Christoph Probst. Even though he tries to get rid of the evidence, the officers end up getting their hands on it and arrest Christoph 3 days later. At first, Sophie and Hans deny having anything to do with the leaflets, and instead, they both present the exact same alibi story to explain what they were doing at the university and why they had an empty suitcase on them when they were arrested. Sophie's interrogator almost buys the story and is actually about to let her go when they get the news that officers found a large amount of stamps in Hans's room, which they consider evidence. Hans confesses, but he insists that the entire project was done by him alone and that neither Sophie nor any other friends were involved or even knew about his plans. But when Sophie is informed about her brother's confession, she too decides to confess and insists that the two of them have acted alone with no further involvement or help by anyone else. The most impressive part for me is that Sophie's interrogator even offers her a way out and asks her to sign a document stating that she was solely influenced by her brother and doesn't actually believe in anything the pamphlets say. But instead of saving her own life, she denies the offer and says that she wants the same punishment as Hans, since she's just as guilty. At the end of the interrogation, she also says,
Ich bin nach wie vor der Meinung, dass ich das Beste für mein Volk getan habe. Ich bereue das nicht. Ich will die Folgen dafür auf mich nehmen.
On February 22nd, only 4 days after their arrest at the university, Hans, Sophie, and also Christoph Probst are on trial at the Munich Justice Palace. The charge, treason. Of course, they're not allowed to pick their own defense attorneys, and their public defenders don't actually defend them in the slightest. The Nazis even fly in their most radical judge from Berlin for this show trial, Roland Freisler, who's commonly known as Blutrichter, so blood judge, because of how often he gives the death penalty. He's not only the president of the Volksgerichtshof, the People's Court, but also participated in the Wannsee Conference, where the Holocaust was planned. And he's the one who drafted the murder paragraph that Germany still uses to this day. I mentioned that in my video about Nazi laws that are still in place. Throughout the trial, Freisler mainly just yells at the three friends, cuts them off, and personally insults them. And when Hans's and Sophie's parents try to enter the courtroom, he has them removed. At one point, Sophie interrupts him and says,
Was wir gesagt und geschrieben haben, das denken ja so viele. Und wagen Sie nichts auszusprechen.
After less than 3 hours, they're asked for their closing remarks, where Hans asks the judge to spare his friend Christoph, who's married and just had his 3rd child. Regardless, the judge announces the verdict.
Im Namen des deutschen Volkes, in der Strafsache gegen den Hans-Fritz Scholl aus München, die Sophia Magdalena Scholl aus München und den Christoph Hermann Probst aus Altranz hat der erste Senat des Volksgerichtshofs aufgrund der Hauptverhandlung vom 22. Februar 1943 für Recht erkannt. Die Angeklagten haben im Krieg in Flugblättern zur Sabotage der Rüstung und zum Sturz der nationalsozialistischen Lebensform unseres Volkes aufgerufen, defetistische Gedanken propagiert und den Führer auf das Gemeinste beschimpft und dadurch den Feind des Reiches begünstigt und unsere Wehrkraft zersetzt. Sie werden deshalb mit dem Tode bestraft. Ihre Bürgerehre haben Sie für immer verwirkt. Sie tragen die Kosten des Verfahrens.
Euer Terror ist bald vorbei.
Heute hinter uns. Und morgen werdet ihr es sein.
Abführen! On top of that, they're scheduled to be executed the very same day. Initially, the authorities plan on hanging them publicly, but they end up changing their mind as they're worried that the group would become immortalized as martyrs this way. Instead, they decide to kill them by guillotine. After the verdict, the three are brought to Stadelheim prison in Munich, where Hans and Sophie are allowed to see their parents for about half an hour to properly say goodbye. They're also given pen and paper to write final letters to their loved ones, and as devout Christians, they get to pray with the pastor. Shortly before 5 p.m., the three are picked up from their prison cells. Reportedly, the prison staff is so impressed with their bravery that they break the rules and let Sophie, Hans, and Christoph see each other one last time and give them a last cigarette to share. Then, at exactly 5 o'clock, the 21-year-old Sophie Scholl is brought into the execution room and is beheaded via guillotine. 2 minutes later, her brother Hans Scholl, 24 years old, follows. His last words are,
Es lebe die Freiheit. Long live freedom.
3 minutes after, 2 minutes later, her brother Hans, at exactly 5 o'clock, the 21-year-old Sophie Scholl is brought into the execution room and is beheaded via guillotine. 2 minutes later, her brother Hans Scholl, 24 years old, follows. 21-year-old Sophie Scholl is brought into the execution room and is beheaded via guillotine. 2 minutes later, her brother Hans Scholl, 24 years old, follows. His last words are,
Es lebe die Freiheit. Long live freedom.
3 minutes after him follows Christoph Probst, 23 years old, married and father of 3 children. Shortly after Sophie, Hans, and Christoph are killed, the Gestapo also arrests and puts on trial the 25-year-old Alexander Schmorell, Professor Kurt Huber, who was 49 at the time, and 25-year-old Willy Graf, who are all sentenced to death in April. Willy Graf, particularly, is held in solitary confinement for 6 long months, during which the Gestapo uses psychological torture to get more information about other White Rose members and resistance organizations, but even when they threaten to capture his family, he doesn't give in. In October of 1943, they execute him too. The authorities also arrest 14 other people who are associated with the White Rose and send the majority of them to prison, including Traute Lavrenz, Eugen Grimger, who provided financial help, and Manfred Eickelmeier, whose studio the group was using. They also imprison Hans's and Sophie's parents, Hubert and Magdalena Scholl, for several months, as well as the 2 sisters, Inge and Elisabeth. Werner Scholl, the youngest brother, who was able to attend his siblings' trial in his Wehrmacht uniform, is already on his way back to the front at this point, and unfortunately later dies in 1944. During her last days, in conversations with her cellmate Else Gebel, Sophie had expressed hope that their death will at least create a revolt among fellow students. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. Instead, only hours after their execution, the student leaders at the University of Munich organize a big rally to distance themselves from the White Rose and their political views. They call them traitors to the fatherland and cheer for Jakob Schmidt, the janitor who caught them. He receives a reward and a promotion for his services. But despite all of this, the words of the White Rose live on. Over the next few weeks, the chemistry student Hans Leipelt and his girlfriend Marie-Louise Jahn copy and further distribute the latest leaflet of the White Rose in Munich and Hamburg with the help of friends. They add the headline, Und ihr Geist lebt trotzdem weiter, and their spirit lives on. In March, the story makes its way all the way to the US, where the New York Times...
That they gave their lives for the death of, for the death of the Nazi Republic, and nobody acknowledged them. In fact, they just distanced themselves, and the guy who turned them in got a promotion.
Publishes an article titled, Nazis Execute 3 Munich Students for Writing Anti-Hitler Pamphlets. In June, the White Rose is even mentioned on Thomas Mann's radio show that the group used to listen to themselves. He specifically honors the bravery of the Munich students. But it gets even bigger. Only about a month after Sophie, Hans, and Christoph were executed, the attorney Helmut James von Moltke, who's the founder of another resistance group, brings the 6th leaflet to Oslo, where it's translated and published in Norwegian and Swedish media. Moltke also makes sure that it's translated into English, with the result that it makes its way to Great Britain, where the message is distributed by the BBC, and in July, Royal Air Force bombers drop 5 million copies of the pamphlet all over Germany. It's titled A German Leaflet, the manifesto of the students of Munich. In August of 1943, the International Student Assembly honors the student resistance with a rally in New York, where even First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt holds a speech. Sophie's fiancé, Fritz Hartnagel, who over the course of the war is eventually left disillusioned as well, continues to stay close.
The thing I like to see is when people rally behind the good thing, and it turns out that they're, that they did just that, even though the German public decided to once again fuck themselves by distancing themselves from a resistance group.
Close with the Scholl family, even after Sophie's death, and supports them both morally and financially throughout the public shame they're experiencing, and when their father, Robert, has to serve another prison sentence. After Fritz spends 6 months as a war prisoner in the US in 1945, he gets married to Sophie's sister, Elisabeth. The couple have 4 children together and stay married up until his death in 2001. In 1947, the oldest sister, Inge, ends up writing a book about her sibling story called The White Rose, Munich, 1942-43. This book is based a lot on her personal memories and has repeatedly been criticized for being factually inaccurate in some parts and for romanticizing things a little.
So,
ever since the end of World War II, and therefore the end of the Nazi regime.
Well, I'm gonna end it right there. So there you have it. This is basically what we're looking towards. Is basically another Nazi regime. We haven't learned our lesson from before. So.
Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Well, yeah, that's 100% true. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So. What's wrong, babe?
I'm sitting outside.
Oh, I'll be out there shortly. I'm wrapping it up in here.
Well, I figured you ran with smoke.
I am. So yeah, that's the show, guys. Thank you for watching. Feel free to follow me on YouTube. Feel free to follow me on Discord, or join my Discord server. Follow me on Blue Sky, and support me on Patreon. And with that, thank you for watching my show. Goodbye. Because wait, shit, it's going fast. I better turn that. I don't know.